Good evening. I'm Alice Bloom, and I'll be your host for LMC-TV's live election night coverage. Tonight, we're focused mainly on the village of Mamaroneck, where there's a race for mayor and one trustee. Incumbent Mayor Norm Rosenblum is running on the Republican and Conservative lines, and he's being challenged by Dan Natchez, a Democrat who, as Mayor Rosenblum, served on the Village Board of Trustees over 30 years ago. Incumbent trustee Lou Santoro, a Republican and conservative, is facing a challenge from Thomas Burt, making his first bid for local office on the Democratic line. Whatever the outcome of tonight's race, the three Democratic trustees not up for re-election today retain their seats and a majority on the village board. In the town of Mamaroneck, Supervisor Nancy Seligson and council members Abby Katz and Tom Murphy, all Democrats, are running unopposed. Also running up unopposed in the town clerk Christina Battaglia and town justice Jean Marie Brescia. On the county level, we're watching the race for county legislator in the 7th district, where incumbent Democrat Catherine Parker faces a challenge from Rye Republican Susan Watson. There was also a Westchester County ballot. Did you notice it? It offers an amendment to the Westchester County Charter, changing the date by which the county executive must submit his proposed county budget for capital and current purposes from November 16th to October 16th, and for capital purposes from November 15th to November 10th for current purposes. That's a little confusing. The purpose of the amendment: to increase the time that county legislators have to study the budget before they have to vote on it. It would also give voters a chance to look at least part of the budget before Election Day. We've got reporters in the field tonight at campaign headquarters. Shayla Navarro and Matt Sullivan are at Republican headquarters at the Elks Club, and Kat Galliano and Rob Moretti at the Democratic headquarters at Barley's on Mamaroneck Avenue. As always, we'll have a distinguished lineup of guests joining me in the studio as we await results. Tonight, we'll start the evening off with County Legislator Catherine Parker. A little later, we'll welcome Town of Mamaroneck Supervisor Nancy Seligson and Council Member Abby Katz. And a little later on, Tom Murphy, also from the Town Council. All candidates have been invited to come into the studio at the conclusion of tonight's events to recap the election and reflect on the campaign and share future plans. We hope you'll stay with us throughout the evening. And now we'd like to tell you a little bit about what LMC-TV is doing after school. When we return, Catherine Parker will be here.
Hello everybody, I'm Kat Galliano. Get ready to check out a sample of the programs airing during the month of November. If you missed the New York State Attorney General speaking at Mamaroneck High School, you're in luck, because you can watch it here on LMC-TV on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. or Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m. If you were at the Larchmont Public Library lately and you wondered where this beautiful children's garden came from, then be sure to catch Ryder's Children's Garden Dedication, airing on Thursday evenings at 9 p.m. or Fridays at 9 a.m. Happy 125th birthday, Larchmont! If you missed any of the festivities at the street fair, no worries, LMC was there to cover it. Feel like checking out some interesting art at the Arts Festival? Or maybe just want to see yourself on TV? If so, tune in Thursdays at 10 p.m. or Fridays at 10 a.m. Window paintings, costume parades, spooky crafts, haunted houses, and much more. Check out what the Village of Mamaroneck Spooktacular had going on for Halloween this year, Monday nights at 10:30 p.m. or Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. Keeping up with the Halloween theme, the Village of Larchmont hosted its annual Ragamuffin Parade. There was a record turnout this year, with families and pets showing off their Halloween gear. To catch all the fun, tune in Monday nights at 11 p.m. or Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Do your children know what to do in case of a fire? The Town of Mamaroneck Weaver Street Firehouse opened its doors to the public for fire safety prevention, tours of a simulated smokehouse, fire trucks, food, and fun. If you missed it, you can see it airing on Tuesdays at 11:30 p.m. or Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. Now you know what's coming up in November on LMC-TV. To see our full broadcast schedule, visit us on the web at lmctv.org/schedules. Airtimes are subject to change. Some popular programs are coming up in December. To look out for are the Village of Mamaroneck's Turkey Trot, the Tree Lighting Social, the Mamaroneck High School Financial Aid Workshop, and oh, a favorite of mine is Sunny Goldberg's annual Know Your Neighbor Holiday Edition. Sunny takes us to the streets, visiting local shops and boutiques in search of the perfect holiday present. You don't want to miss it. Watch us on TV or catch us online by logging into www.lmctv.org. And as always, I'm Kat Galliano, and you can catch more of us on the Local Live every Thursday at 7:30.
Welcome back, and with me in the studio is Catherine Parker. Catherine, thank you so much for stopping by. It's a very busy day for you.
It is, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I know there are no election returns yet. Are you feeling optimistic?
Cautiously, yes, I am feeling optimistic.
Good. Well, now that I have you here, I have so many questions. Let's start by talking about the county budget. I fear there's some bad news in the future.
I fear there's some bad news as well. Last year, my first budget that I worked on for the county, I was really discouraged because I saw that really the practices that were in place to balance the budget didn't really do so. At least it was, in my opinion, it ended up borrowing to cover operating costs like pension costs, which really only deferred a tax increase. So I think that I was, alerting my district, and other county legislators were alerting their districts to this. It's just not a sustainable practice. So my feeling is this year the county executive will present a budget that maybe doesn't call for the borrowing, but I do think that they're going to have to look at other ways, and I think that their only other trick that they have is really to shrink services and the staff that we have.
Well, when you say services, what services does the county provide?
Oh my gosh, the county does so much, and this is what people don't realize. So we have a health department. What does the health department do? A million things, but here's one that people probably don't think of. We enjoy going out to restaurants. Well, our county health department they go and inspect the restaurants to make sure that we're not going to get a foodborne illness. That's just one service. I mean, we have a county jail. We have a county court system. We have a Department of Environmental Facilities that handles all our wastewater treatment plants. Our DPW, which handles all of our county roads and bridges. We operate 6 county parks, and I could go on. There are many, many, many services that are provided through Westchester County.
Well, it hasn't been an issue, I think, in this election, but often we do hear voters and residents claim, what do we need county government for? Give me an example with which the county government works with local municipalities.
Sure. We work with local municipalities in many different areas, but I'll mention one, recycling. So we have what's called the MRF in Yonkers, which is the recycling facility there. And it's carted from all the municipalities to that centralized location. And that's one area where it's a shared service. Again, all the municipalities, they don't have a health department. That, again, is a shared service that Westchester County provides. Westchester County works, of course, with the local municipalities on water quality issues. And so we're trying to work right now with Mamaroneck and Larchmont on the issues related to the sewer pipes.
Okay, sewers were going to be my next question.
Yes.
This conversation is definitely going to the sewer.
Yeah.
But it's a very big potential cost. The INI, I believe it's called.
So yeah, INI stands for infiltration and inflow, and basically Westchester County, and not just the Sound Shore, but all over Westchester County, as well as many areas of the Northeast, we have aging pipes that are underground for our sewers. And we can't see what's happening below ground, but we know that there are cracks in these pipes, and during rain events, stormwater gets into the pipes, and then that causes a massive overflow into Long Island Sound.
Okay, so it's very important that the county help
It
shepherd
is.
this along and coordinate
Absolutely.
the repairs. Now, one thing we hear a lot about is deer control now. Surprise of surprises, deer have found our rather citified suburb. How is the county involved in helping municipalities deal with this issue?
So I'll tell you that statewide, there isn't a county that is handling the deer overpopulation for their individual municipalities. According to New York State law and New York State DEC, the county can have a deer program in place for county-owned property. So we have a deer program in place right now in 6 parks in the northern part of Westchester. There's a small park in Rye at Marshlands Conservancy where they have been looking at doing another deer program. The real question is working in conjunction with the municipalities as they also apply for their own permits to DEC to coordinate an effort so that we don't have a plan in place where deer are either going into the neighborhoods that are adjacent and making the problem even worse.
When you say a deer program, do you talk about a deer cull?
That could be a possibility, and it's really up to the individual municipalities to have that conversation with the people that live right here. That's why there are so few programs in New York State right now, because anytime that you are talking about wildlife and the potential for possibly killing wildlife, you're going to have some people that are very disturbed by that idea. And then, on the other hand, there might be people that say, well, my gardens are really important to me, and I believe that the understory of our forests are really important, and I think a cull is the right answer. So that has to be a public discussion. And there hasn't been that public discussion yet in Mamaroneck, but I'm sure that will happen at some stage.
It looks like it's coming. I think it's become an issue to so many people who never thought they'd be concerned about deer on their properties. It was an oddity to see a deer, not a commonplace thing. But we've transgressed a little bit. Let's get back to the budget. I think one thing a lot of people don't realize are how many special districts there are. Mm-hmm. And they don't even realize that they have taxing authority.
Right, absolutely. And so that is actually one of the questions related again to the issue of I&I, because how are we going to pay for that as a community? And is it going to be through the special district, or is it going to be part of your property tax locally in the village, or is it going to be handled on the county level? That's really to be determined. But there's plenty of work that needs to happen first to really analyze and look at what's called the sanitary sewer evaluation study. Get that done first, know how severe the problem is right here, and then take it to the next steps.
Does the county help municipalities in their flood mitigation problems?
Absolutely.
Certainly a big issue here.
Yeah, and they do. In fact, when I first started on the board in 2014, there were 6 drafts for all the different watersheds of Westchester County. And what we did was we vetted those plans and passed those. What that enables us to do is then help the municipalities financially and move ahead on some flood mitigation. So certainly the county is positioned to be a help to all the municipalities.
Right, I think that the local municipalities look toward the county for help.
Absolutely.
Certainly Mamaroneck does. Now, there are certain strategies that local government has employed here. Certainly the town of Mamaroneck is expecting to impose user fees as opposed to increasing taxes. Is that a strategy that the county considers as well?
Well, it certainly is. Again, going back to the I&I issue, if you are incorporating all the properties, not just the, including tax-exempt properties, then they say that there are about 30% more properties that will be sharing the cost. So certainly that's something that should be considered.
But user fees, I guess here we think of recreation, we think of well, actually, they were sewer fees. I mean, one of the issues here was that formerly, at least in the town of Mamaroneck and probably other municipalities, you were assessed by the value of your property, not by how much water you used, for example.
Right, and so the user fee on water, I think, makes some sense because also if you're going to be conserving water and, using it sparingly, just paying for what you use, that does make some sense. And I went to the Town of Mamaroneck sustainability program that they had recently on this, And the estimate would be that you would see a reduction in your expense for water. So I think that that's, certainly something that would be music to many people's ears.
Well, one example somebody gave me who was very cognizant about budgets was that a property could be assessed at the same value, but one could be a laundry, for example, using a tremendous amount of water, and one a home
Absolutely.
who uses a modest amount of water.
Right.
That's probably pretty extreme, but it could exist like that. Do you see layoffs ahead on the county level?
I fear that that's part of the budget that will be proposed. And why I say fear is because the county shrank their workforce in 2010 by about 15%. And what I've seen in my 2 years as a county legislator is that at this point in time, we're really not functioning, I think, as best as we could be. So to shrink that workforce even more, my fear is that we're going to really be losing out on services that we rely on. I see a huge backlog on infrastructure projects, road repair, for instance, that really we're looking at years out before we actually get to them. And I just think in Westchester County, we actually expect more for our tax dollars. I don't really think that that is the real answer that we're looking for as communities. I think we have an expectation that our taxes are for services that are essential, and we want to pay for those essential services.
Do you feel that the county has the best possible tools to predict costs of repairs or costs of things? Are you doing the best, most sophisticated budgeting you could be doing?
Well, as I started with when we talked about budgeting, I not to point fingers at our budget director, but I did think that while it's legal for the county to borrow for our pensions, it's probably not the best fiscal policy. But that decision's made in the executive branch whether or not to do that. So, the budget director's just sort of presenting the options, then the options are chosen. That was not an option that I supported.
I see. Okay, I have you for only about 5 minutes longer, and there are two subjects I'd love to talk about. One is Playland.
Sure.
Playland it's a treasure in the county, I know, and it's been through so many iterations. I understand it now will be under private management.
Right, and that was something that when the county executive came into office, he said that really he wanted to look for a public-private partnership, and it's actually an idea that I think is a good one. For many, many years, the county really hasn't invested in the infrastructure at Playland, and it's really showing its age. It needs a tremendous amount of investment. So
Didn't it also suffer a lot of damage in Hurricane Sandy?
It did, but we received FEMA support, so we had that covered. Although we still haven't completed all the repairs. We're still waiting for the back boardwalk to be replaced. So again, this is where our county staff, it's really a manpower issue more than a money issue. But getting back to Playland, I think having a public-private partnership is a great idea. They're going to invest $25 million into Playland.
The private company.
Yes, and then they will pay us annually $300,000 with a cost of living escalation, and then once they recoup their initial investment, there'll be a profit-sharing portion as well.
I believe this had been tried before, many years ago.
There was a different agreement with Marriott that was back in the 80s, and Marriott, I don't think Marriott's in the business of running amusement parks, and one of the principles of Standard Amusements is somebody who has an amazing reputation in the amusement park industry. He's really come from two of the very best in the country, and I know that he has the expertise that we really could use at Playland. So I see that this is really going to help turn Playland around. I do think it'll be wonderful for the residents of Westchester County and for generations to come, and really that's been the goal all along.
Well, there have been some improvements. Has the Children's Museum opened yet?
Not completely. So the Children's Museum, which I also think is tremendous for Westchester to have that, they are in the process of still raising their funds to really be able to build the space out. Right now, they have about 4,000 square feet that they have some temporary exhibits, and that's been open for the last 2 summer seasons. I think this year they had about 20,000 visitors come, And you know, again, that'll be really terrific for Westchester and those of us in the Sound Shore who are right here.
Well, I look forward to seeing Playland open, and maybe we'll visit it next spring. Okay, we have hardly any time left, so unfortunately we won't get to talk about the affordable housing settlement, which I know has been near and dear to your heart, and I know you do not agree with the county executive in his opposition to the agreement, but that municipalities all over the county are building affordable housing.
Right.
And
The settlement was 750 units,
Right.
and for a county of 1 million people, I really don't think that that's a very significant.
how many have been built?
We're targeted by the end of this year to reach about 640 if everything goes for the next 8 weeks if to plan, that we should be at 640. And I really think that, again, this is very attainable. So if we talked more about the positive things that are attached to affordable housing, that it's a great opportunity for seniors who would like to stay in Westchester County, that aren't earning the same income that they were making when they were working, or for our college kids who would like to come back to Westchester but really can't afford housing here when they're starting off in their careers. I think it's a really
I think
great
there's a lot
thing.
of misunderstanding about what affordable housing really is. These are
couldn't
your
agree with you
firemen,
more.
your municipal workers, your teachers, the people who make your communities great.
Yes.
Catherine, I know that you're in a hurry to get to other places, but I want to thank you so much for being here tonight and wish you the best of luck. Will you come back?
I would love to. Thank
Well,
you.
I'm going to keep after you. We're going to get you. Right back to you at home now. We'd like to tell you a little bit about LMC's Local Live. Stay with us.
I watch the Local Live so that I can ask questions about my community.
Caller, go ahead.
I watch so I can find out what's going on the go.
Because I catch up at any time, from anywhere, and see any show. Shh!
You tell us, we air it. This is the Local Live.
I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man.
This kid is a gamer, Sam, and he drills one in the air to left field. Forget it. Goodbye, Ryan Aquino. And Jackson Allen all the way into the end zone. A run for 75 yards. And that ball is intercepted. Jake Semyon.
The one-handed interception. Unbelievable talent this kid possesses.
And the Mamaroneck Tigers, New York State Class A field hockey champions.
We are part of the Lights Camera Action After School Club at Chatsworth Avenue School. We are learning how to use HD camera microphones, and we even get to edit our own footage.
We are having lots of fun, and I can't wait to see ourselves on TV.
Look for LMC-TV's Lights Camera Action Club in your elementary school this coming winter and spring. Don't miss out on all the fun.
Contact your PTA for more information.
3, 2.
Welcome back. We're going to go directly to Democratic headquarters in the village of Mamaroneck and Kat Galliano. Kat, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Kat.
Alice, can you hear me now?
I can. Yes, I can. All right. Well, it looks like...
Work it up. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
Okay. It looks like the room has gotten quite crowded since last time we talked.
It has. That's why I'm having a little difficulty hearing you, but I got you.
Okay. Well, tell me what the mood is like.
The mood is calm, but very, very chatty, let me tell you. Everybody's engaged in conversation. It seems very hopeful, and Thomasburg's children are here right to my left, and they've been such a joy to be around because they're so excited.
Very good. Have there been any results reported yet?
Yes, we have one district has reported already, and it's very, very, very close.
Okay. Do you have some numbers?
We have some numbers. We have Norm Rosenblum that had 119, and we have Dan Natchez was 120, 119.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, I don't have it on written in my notes right now. It's a little bit overwhelming, but it's very, very close. I think it's a one number difference at the moment.
Okay, but that's only one district, and we have quite a number of districts in the village.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, only one district, yeah. So we
Okay.
still have a little bit to go, but for right now, it's one.
Great. Does anybody know how long results will take to come in?
I don't know. Relatively, it's been going slow yet, so I haven't heard any specific numbers. But we are checking in constantly with the man who's in charge and updating the numbers.
Wonderful. Do you know if there have been any problems at polling places today?
I have not heard of any problems thus far. I've been able to chat a little bit with everyone here in the room, and I haven't heard a complaint of that yet. So hopefully that's a good sign for the day's activities.
Okay, great. Will you call us back as soon as you know something more?
Absolutely, Alice. Thank you again. We'll call right back.
All right, well, we're waiting for you. Thank you, Kat. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Welcome back. That was our reporter at Democratic headquarters, Kat Galliano. She's there with Rob Moretti, and of course, as you heard, one district is reporting. The number was very close in that one district. We don't know what district that was, but in any case, we have a long night ahead of us. On each election night, we choose a topic that has really consumed the voters to try to add some light on it. And we spent some time tonight looking at parking. We have a pie chart that we'd like to bring up for you, and if we can, we'll do that now. LMC has done a thoroughly unscientific poll. Only 17 people responded, but we asked people whether they felt that parking was a problem in the village. In April, there's the pie chart, and as you can see, I hope you can see it at home, we asked people what they thought of whether parking was a significant problem in the village. And you can see that, over 50%, 53% think that it is a big problem. 47% didn't think it was a big problem. Certainly our village board has been consumed with this issue. And in April, a large group of concerned citizens crowded into Mamaroneck Village Hall to register their concerns about parking in the village and the techniques the board was considering to improve the situation. After that meeting, the board convened an ad hoc parking committee to study the situation and to make recommendations. What were the earlier plans for improving parking in the village and what enraged citizens? LMC-TV news producer Shayla Navarro has prepared the following report for us. It includes part of my interview with Maria DeRose, the chairman of the ad hoc parking committee in the village of Mamaroneck. Let's go to that tape.
Back in August of 2013, Walker Parking Consultants were hired to do a parking study in the village of Mamaroneck. The purpose of the study was to find out if the current parking inventory meets the present and future demand in the downtown area. The cost of the parking study was $40,000 and was performed by Vice President of Walker Consultants, Carolyn Krasno.
We're really just getting started on the study, and I am interested in how people who live and work and shop in this community, what your experience is of the parking system. So it's really an open forum. I can ask some questions if you like, but I'm happy for people to just jump in. I mean, I guess the obvious first question is, do you think that parking is a problem?
On March 2014, Walker preliminary report recommended that the village should purchase new meters to assist with parking enforcement and revenue stream. Following this suggestion, the request for proposal, or the RFP, for new multi-space parking meters was agreed on at the April 7 Board of Trustees work session. But it was not until July 14 that the RFP was discussed in public.
I mean, going back to the dates, this was discussed in the April 7th work session, and it was my understanding at that time that this was given approval to proceed with issuing the RFP. So here we are July 14th, Bastille Day, and we still have not.
There was further discussions on that. There was concern that discussion was tied into the parking study.
Yep.
It was also tied into other questions that we had from the people that did the parking study, namely tier parking.
Side conversations after a vote should not be a basis for derailing the will of the board. Every day we let go, we don't issue it, is lost revenues for the village.
3 months later, at the October 27 meeting, the discussion of installing the machines was put on the agenda again.
You may have end up with what you're proposing now, but at least get all the facts so you know what you're doing.
What was the point of the study?
Yeah, so it's my
That's what I'd like to know. I'm still wanting to know what the rest of the study. I never got my answer.
The board passed a resolution to award a bid to Cali America of Tampa, Florida. 18 multi-space parking meters were purchased at a cost of $6,425 each, bringing the total of $115,650. These meters are pay-by-license meters, but can also be configured as pay-by-space meters. They take quarters and credit cards, but do not take bills. On December 2nd of 2014, Walker finished the parking study and concluded that the parking situation in downtown Mamaroneck is more an imbalance than a true lack of parking. The report says, people prefer parking on Mamaroneck Avenue for its convenience, but parking is available within a reasonable radius, especially along Felix Park Road behind CVS and in the Hunter Tier Garage across from Village Court. Walker provided 12 recommendations to the Village of Mamaroneck. 2 of them were put into parking resolutions. The first resolution was extending the meter hours until 8 p.m. The second one was making Mamaroneck Avenue a no reparking zone and only allowing residents and visitors to park for 2 hours. These resolutions made residents and business owners fill the Village courtroom on the April 27 Board of Trustees meeting. More than 20 people spoke at the podium and expressed their concerns. Frustrated business owners from Mamaroneck Avenue said that they were not contacted by the Walker study, and their input was not included. The discussion on parking lasted 2.5 hours, forcing the vote on the resolution to be tabled.
You're limited to not only eating in my restaurant for 2 hours, but you have to have a chauffeur come bring another car and take your car away so you don't get a ticket because you can't be here for someone. I can understand moving it down or paying extra like the gentleman said. It makes sense, but you're going to chase everybody out of this food town. There's a reason it's a food town.
In order to enforce the 2-hour parking limit on Mamaroneck Avenue, Walker suggested the purchase of license plate readers. If purchased, it would cost $30,000. This device attaches to a parking enforcement car that scans license plates of parked vehicles. It is a village decision whether to configure the multi-space meter to pay by space or pay by plate, where residents will have to enter their license plate numbers to pay. The discussion about meter configuration took place on the May 11 board meeting. This time, the plate reader proposal drew privacy concerns among residents.
I don't want to be watched. I don't think anybody else does either. I don't want somebody to tell me that on such and such a day, I parked here for how many hours? Why should you know that?
Parking resolutions were tabled indefinitely, and what came next was the forming of the Ad Hoc Parking Committee on July 1st of this year. We spoke with Maria Mikondi Rose, the chair of the committee, to have the final update on the parking situation.
The only thing that you should know is that we are trying to come up with a recommendation to the board that will make everybody happy. I mean, we're not going to make everybody happy. We're going to try and make the majority of people happy. We don't want to change anything too drastically. Try and keep it basically the way it is, simple, user-friendly, and something that'll be attractive to everyone who comes to visit Mamaroneck.
Welcome back. We have another district reporting with 2 districts reporting. We have Norm Rosenblum with 21 votes, and Dan Natchez with 258 votes. Again, this is just 2 districts reporting. And Lou Santura with 300 votes to Tom Burt's 277 votes. Now, it's very early in the evening, and what normally happens is we'll get one district and another district, and it'll come in slowly, and then they will come in all together. So we want you to stay with us throughout the evening as we bring you the results as soon as we have them. So you've just seen the video that Shayla Navarro prepared about the parking situation in the village of Mamaroneck. I think it was probably clear that this is a perplexing problem. The mayor feels we need a parking structure. The study, the Walker study, claimed that we might use a parking study, but it wasn't imperative, and that it was unlikely to bring the amount of revenue that had been expected. But nevertheless, there'll be some changes. There'll be meters, or there will be pay stations, and we should be able to use credit cards someday, which would be great fun. Lots of cities throughout the nation now have credit cards, or allow its users to use credit cards to pay their meters. And lots of times when you don't have a quarter, that's a really good thing. The ad hoc committee has met 3 times. They are not under a time pressure, but they said that they are working very, very hard to try to come to some resolution to be able to make recommendations to the board about how to move forward. It was also very clear that the Walker study said that Mamaroneck actually does have enough parking. However, it's not all on Mamaroneck Avenue, and some people just don't want to walk a half a block. Maybe better signage, or maybe if you knew you got a discount for parking at places like the Phillips Park Road or parking at the Hunter lot, might entice you to park a half a block and walk to the avenue. I think we're trying to go to Republican headquarters now at the Elks Center, and we have Shayla Navarro on Skype. Shayla, I see you have a distinguished guest with you.
Thank you, Alice. We're here with Norman Rosenblum, one of the candidates to become your next mayor. Of course, everybody knows his friendly face. How are you feeling right now?
Fairly optimistic, but we're still waiting for 3 districts to come in. Hopefully, we will maintain the lead that we have now, but you never can tell. In fact, some people are just coming in, and we should know very shortly. But regardless of the outcome, I just congratulate everybody that participated in the democratic process. I think it's great in the friendly village of Mamaroneck, and that's why it continues to be #1. And I expect it to remain #1 no matter what.
So we spoke to your sister. She traveled from Ohio to support you?
Absolutely correct. I mean, that's exactly what I've always talked about. The village of Mamaroneck is nothing but one big family. And even if you have disagreements, whatever it is, you all get along, and it's great. I love being in the village of Mamaroneck. I love being the village of Mamaroneck's chief cheerleader, and everyone gets along. That's the best part of the friendly village of Mamaroneck.
So tell me about campaigning. What was the best part of campaigning this time?
The best, excuse me?
What was the best part of campaigning? Like, what was the fun part?
Well, the fun part is the same as it is all year round, which is meeting the people, walking up and down. I think the key asset that Lou and I have, if people want to see us, come down to Mamaroneck Avenue or someplace else. You will see us around. We've been doing that for 6 years. Hopefully, we'll continue to do it for the next 2 years. And the best joy is living here. I'm 3rd generation, so is Lou. Lived here all our lives. People. It's just great. It's a great community. One big family.
So if you win today, what will be the first thing you will do as soon as you sit on an office?
Well, when I get back, first thing I do after this is I'm going to go get something to eat. But after that, when we go in office, we'll continue to try and get along with the majority of the Democrats that are on the board. There's obviously from the last meeting some contention, but I think overall, if you look at the majority of the votes, most times it'll either be 4-1, 5-0, as has been the past 6 years. But I think the key, as I noted before, even if there's a disagreement between the 5 individuals, the key is to get the people involved, because no matter what the question is, we represent the people, and you should listen to the people coming in, whether it be parking or flooding or anything else. The key is to get more people involved, and not just 4 out of 10 people vote. This actually happens to be a very light turnout. Probably more beneficial to Lou and I. I think if this were a presidential election with the registration the way it is 3-1, the odds would certainly be against us. But the fact of the matter is that this is a off-year election, which shows that the people are really considering local issues, not national issues. And I find it very rewarding that obviously without Democratic input and support, we would never get elected. And I think that supports the concept of representing everybody.
Mayor, if you finish today, if let's say that unfortunately the result won't be favorable to you, what do you think will be your legacy for the village of Mamaroneck?
Getting people involved, supporting volunteers, encouraging more people to join a volunteer fire department, which not only is the greatest social group, But as just noted last night, and again today, they save lives, they save property. Harbor Island Conservancy, they get involved. They spend their own money. They make the Village of Mamaroneck Harbor Island Park #1 in Westchester County, and the rest of the volunteers and all the land use boards and all the other boards and commissions. That is the key to the Village of Mamaroneck. That's your friends coming in. That's your friends and relatives, and that's what it comes in. And I'm glad to hear cheering in the back. Hopefully that's a positive sign that we will have the chance to continue the next 2 years. And I love the Village of Mamaroneck. And one of the key things is, what I said before, I want LMC-TV and hook and ladder.
All right.
It's very important.
Well, Alice, you hear from Mr. Norman Rosenblum. We just are living the excitement right now here. Everybody is just clapping with smiles on their faces, with very positive thinking right now. And we're just going to keep reporting every minute of this election right here, as always, live on LMC-TV.
Thank you so much, Kat. Appreciate it, Shayla. Make sure you call us as soon as you have any other results.
We're going to do the best that we can to get those results as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Shayla. Appreciate it. Welcome back to the studio. We have no new results to report. We still have only 2 districts that have reported, and incumbents Rosenblum and Santoro have a slight lead over their challengers, but it's way too early to call anything. Earlier last month, Eric Schneiderman made a visit to Mamaroneck High School. He's the Attorney General for the state of New York. Let's go to a tape with Eric Schneiderman.
Hi, my name is Beth Radow. Do you want to stop gridlock in Albany government? You can. I'd like to invite you to tune in to LMC-TV to watch a rebroadcast of New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman speaking on how to restore public trust and confidence in Albany at a program co-hosted by Mamaroneck High School's Advanced Placement United States Government and Politics teacher, Joe Liberti, on behalf of Mamaroneck High School, and me on behalf of the League of Women Voters. Attorney General Schneiderman gives an engaging historical look at the formation of American government, recalling the point of making this a nation where citizens participate, his office's role in addressing corruption, and an inspiring call to action for restoring New York State government.
We need to channel the outrage at corruption into a reform movement. We have to demand change. Catching bad guys is good. But changing systems, changing conduct, so there are no more bad guys to catch is better.
Attorney General Schneiderman candidly explains how Albany currently works on the inside and discusses his comprehensive plan for changing the status quo so that our legislators act on issues with their constituents as the priority instead of in response to financial forces. My takeaway from the Attorney General's straight talk is that unless New York citizens actively insist upon effective reform in government, it won't happen. Here is what the Attorney General had to say about reform generally.
Only with a reform movement that we will truly get a cleaned up government in New York State to realize the enormous potential that our state has. There's never been a movement, a great movement in American history, that was started by an elected official. Movements are always started by ordinary activist citizens, people who want to push the status quo. So I would encourage you not to sit around waiting for elected officials to lead a reform movement. You'll get from your elected officials what you make them give you.
We all have issues we care about: jobs, education, the environment. You can stop the gridlock in Albany that keeps legislators from addressing your issues by making reform happen. Share LMC-TV's link of this program with friends, Facebook it, tweet about it, and ask your network of people to join you in contacting the governor, the attorney general, and your New York senator and assembly member to let them know you want reform in Albany that goes the distance to make democracy work. It's easy. Go to the New York State government website on the screen to make contact, call, and make a local visit to your state senator and assembly member. Let them know what you think. That's what they are there for, to hear from you, and to represent you. Until next time, remember, the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Don't have to worry.
All right, 3.
And what time did you? Okay.
Welcome back. As you can see, I have two very distinguished guests with me in the studio today. Newly re-elected Supervisor of the Town of Mamaroneck, Nancy Seligson, and newly re-elected Town Council Member, Abby Katz. First of all, congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
A hard-won victory. We were talking about that a little earlier and about maybe it's not so great that there is no opposition. How do you feel about that, Nancy?
It's mixed because we do feel so lucky to not have to focus on campaigning in the same way and not have to worry about it. But it is an opportunity also. And so we don't have the opportunity in terms of really getting our message out, our word out, and getting people motivated to vote and understand who's running their local government.
Right. I guess you only hear when people are upset about something.
Oh, yes.
That tends to bring people out to meetings. But we also noted that there were few people at the League of Women Voters debate, few people actually in the audience, but we don't know how many people were watching at home, people like me, who were watching on the internet or watching it on television.
I hope so. I certainly let folks know that it was going on, but because they have the option of watching from home, we don't know, but we can hope.
And the Mets were in the World Series, which made it hard.
Well, you had a little competition, right? Yeah, of course. But, you know, that's why God created clickers, and we go back and forth and back and forth. Or motkins, as my young son used to call them, remote controls. It took us years to figure out what this 2-year-old was saying. Motkin, Mom, Motkin. Anyway, we have so many interesting things to talk about. First of all, I want to start out with something that I observed as I was preparing for tonight, that you both have extraordinary experience in civic associations and all of your work that led up to your being elected. And I was so impressed by it. You know, some people say, oh, I only was on the PTA, or I only, was president of my neighborhood association. I didn't do anything. I don't think that's true. And I wondered how you feel all of that work for nonprofits or for not-for-profits or in all that civic associations prepared you for elected office. Abby?
I used to always say you can't complain unless you're involved in part of the process. So I think being in the PTA really gets you in the school a lot, lets you see what's happening. So I think whatever you choose to be your activity is important. And I think